Hi everybody. You've now heard from Michelle what happened in 2018. So now I'm going to talk about what's going to happen going forward. So we've done a strategic review, so I want to tell you a little bit about that. But I guess I want to frame this by something that you all know, but nonetheless I think it's worth just reiterating. And that is that there's no question that to be successful nowadays, I think you have to focus. And so part of focusing is not doing everything, and that's been quite a hard thing to come to terms with. But as someone who's run an executive coaching consultancy for 12 years, and we were quite successful, but not nearly as successful as in the last 12 years, so where we've been hugely successful as soon as we started focusing on the female career. So that is, if you like, our point of difference and our focus. But it's in a broader vision and mission, which are up here for you to read. Let you read that. Okay, so helping people thrive in life and work. So our focus is very much more on the female career now, but it's in a broader vision of helping people to thrive in life and work. And anyway, I think for us to be successful with the female career, we can't just focus on women, we need to actually involve men too. So I'll come back to that and explain how that is going to pan out. This is a very busy slide, and I'm not quite sure with webinars whether I should stop speaking and let you read it first, but I'm going to assume that you can, because it's recorded, you can freeze it and get your head around it, and so I'm just going to continue on. Okay, to be able to do our strategic review, we got Michelle Weston. So some of you won't know Michelle, but Michelle joined us halfway during the year last year, initially on a pro bono basis, to look at our Good Business Initiative. Michelle is brilliant and a terrific addition to the team, and actually it was quite apparent that her understanding on the strategic front was such that it was, it would be really good for us to take her on board actually, and actually hire her to do stuff on executive coaching as well as on the Good Business Initiative. Because what I don't really want is, I don't want the GBI, our foundation, if you like, to be something that's just over there and separate. It's got to be integral to what we do. And I see the Good Business Initiative as being an expression of the way we do business. Okay, more of that later. So what did our clients say when Michelle did a review? Well, what came through loud and clear is that we're seen as an expert partner. We're seen as innovative, and we've got impactful products, and we're specialists in supporting the female career. So the way we interact with, we talk to HR directors, talent directors, L&D buyers, and also diversity and inclusion directors. And at the moment, what was quite an interesting thing through the analysis is we discovered actually that the segments that we're focusing on at the moment, and just to reiterate, that is financial services, professional services and law firms, actually still hold really significant opportunity for growth. There's still loads to do there. And so we've got to be careful we don't scatter too widely. But we are interested in other sectors for other reasons, because I think actually as an executive coach working across lots of sectors, which I've had the benefit of doing because I've been doing it for so long, I've worked in so many segments, it massively improves your ability to work as an executive coach. So we don't want to restrict, but nonetheless we do want to focus our marketing efforts continually on the female career and helping resolve this problem in financial services, professional services and legal firms. And what we also found out from our competitors, from our clients, is that we really do stand out as coaches. So that's a significant USP for us, is our expert coaches, which is of course you lot. Sorry, I mean you lot, which is you, because you are actually our, leading ECC in the client's eyes, and thankfully, what's coming back time and again is it's that your quality of view and your input is actually what's making us stand out from our competitors. We've actually picked up a client recently who, two different occasions, one was, let's get this right, yes, it was HSBC. We pitched for it 5 years ago. They went for My Family Care. And then one of our clients moved into HSBC, and as soon as she came in, she said, well, that's crazy. You can't be using My Family Care. Executive coaching are way better coaches. And we've now got, as many of you know, because you're working on it, we've now got HSBC as well on the basis of that. And again, recently we had another comment from a client that switched, that said, well, we're switching because you're just much better coaches. So we sometimes, you know, if you think about it, Kate and I, founders, are both master coaches, but we kind of take that for granted and just assume everyone's really into coaching and looks at coaches and has the same view on assessing coaches, but I don't think that's the case actually. So that's what we're competing on successfully. We don't compete on cost or full service. We don't have the full service. So that's the thing we're going to stress. So what must we protect? Well, the other thing that we are is that we're also purposeful. We now have this, and you know, I can certainly speak to this, I really genuinely want to change society to make it better, to make organisations work better for the common good. But I also see the way of doing that is actually by having more women. I mean, I really believe that that is an issue for society, and I think we'd all be much better off as women were at the centre of decision making more often. A big part of the way we do business is the coach team, and indeed our support team. You are a big part of getting it right, because we need you to represent the way we do things. Because now, Kate, Debbie, Emma and I, we don't actually have the luxury, to be honest, of doing a huge amount of coaching. We need to make sure that you're getting the support and investment that we think you need, that you think you need rather. Okay, so the other thing that we seem to be very good at is this idea of us being good on products, which is about understanding the client, and that's because we've got Emma and Helen out there as client managers, really properly listening, feeding it back in to me, Kate and Debbie, and then the design of the product happens. So that's how it works, and so we need to really make sure that we get a really good feedback loop with you when you're the ones that are actually talking to our clients. And then lastly, I think I've mentioned that, you know, the understanding of the banking and legal sectors. You know, we can almost now just go into a client and say, this is who we work with, and that banking or legal client will want to work with us just based on that. So just moving on now. So standing out is critical, and this is just to remind you that everybody thinks that they're differentiated. But actually, when you actually ask customers of those companies the same question about how many, whether the products are differentiated, only about 10% will agree. So it's quite hard to be known for something. And so therefore it's brilliant that we now are known for something. And Helen and I pitched to a private bank yesterday, and when we went in, Helen and I both knew these people are sold already. I mean, of course it was Helen and I were fantastic in the room, but really we'd been sold because they had contacted us. They were dealt with politely and nicely as soon as they contacted us, and you know, very importantly, they did a Google search and we came up first. So moving on, so what next, and what's going to be happening? Again, this is quite a busy slide, so I'll let you have a read of it. And you know, I think what we've discovered through the strategic review is we've always been innovative, actually. I don't think we realise it, but you know, at the end of the day, I started the company 25 years ago when no one had executive coaching companies, which was why I was able to register executive coaching. So that was innovative in its own right. Emma joined us 12 years ago, and she actually conceived the idea of maternity coaching. Oops, sorry about the pan. But she came up with the idea of maternity coaching, which, as you know, is now parental transition coaching. So we have led the way. We're now looking at innovating those products as well, and we're constantly looking to make it, you know, to bring them up to speed with the way the market's moving. And the thing that we're finding in all areas of our coaching is this growing focus on purpose. It's not just that we as a company have a purpose, and I know from experience how much more discretionary effort doing something around something with purpose is, because for 10, 12 years I was an executive coach, but for the last 10, 12 years when I've been doing more of the female career and the female journey, I'm much more excited about it because I read around it more. There's just much, I know that I do more about it because I've actually kind of found my purpose. And hopefully this is a purpose that, you know, everyone's attracted to that works with us. However, we would like to broaden this out, because to be able to resolve the issue of too few women in the world, running things. We need to have men involved too. And so that's why we're looking at purposeful leadership, and we're looking to develop that. So in terms of who we're going to be talking to, we are going to continue to talk to the financial and the legal services. We're going to continue to talk to our L&D talent, HR and D&I buyers. However, what we are going to do is we think there's an opportunity to actually look at the technology sector. And the reason for that is really quite simple. It is a massively growing sector. We want to be part of that. And also, I think working in traditional industries, I think it really enhances you as a coach if you've got exposure to the leading edge companies too. And I also genuinely believe that there is a problem ahead to find that, the technology industry is very male dominated. And so I'm concerned that where we are working in financial services and legal sector because they have a problem retaining women, I'm concerned that a new industry is actually being born and thriving, and it's actually even less female-oriented, female-centric than traditional established sectors. So that's another purposeful reason why I think the technology sector is something that we'd like to get into. So let me talk about our priorities then. So get this down to being something a bit practical. We talk about our priorities here, and this is where we refer to in our coaching programs. You'll be familiar with Stephen Covey's rocks. Well, we have on the left-hand side are the rocks, and then we talk about the objectives, and then I've talked about some actions. Now, as coaches, you'll be looking at those objectives. I just know you are, and you'll be thinking, that's not a smart objective. And I totally get it. They're not brilliantly articulated, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what we're looking at. So, believe it or not, despite the fact we feel we've got every bank and every law firm out there, actually we're only in about 12% in terms of penetration. So we've got a lot of opportunity there existing with the existing core product base. And the way we'll continue to do that is marketing's really changed, because now it's not about selling and just constantly pushing something on someone. It's actually about, the way I see it now is that we have to create a noise and a signal amongst the noise, and we have to do that by saying interesting things. So on balance, the thing that I do every 2 weeks, we do that because actually that's us creating thought leadership. And so we're going to amplify that even more by me doing more speeches, and hopefully by you guys, getting involved on social media and retweeting what Nick and I, painstakingly tweet regularly. We go onto LinkedIn, we post on LinkedIn, and we'd like you to find, would love you to start pushing those messages out too, using social media if you can. And if not, just make sure people get on balance and know, and whenever we need people to come along to speeches that I'm doing, etc., for you to say someone would be interested in this, Geraldine is, and let me know so we can invite them. The smart inquiry follow-up, as I say, I'm pretty sure part of the reason we were successful yesterday was the way they were handled on the phone. Now we've got Holly back as well. It's just fantastic because she's extremely good at turning around these inquiries really quickly and making sure they get handled, in a smart way. Nick's been working on the new website, which is coming out soon, and it promises to be fresh and young. And, I'm really looking forward to seeing the final thing, when we put together the words with the pictures. All very exciting. Obviously, I don't want to lose the benefit of the website we've got at the moment, which does very well for us, but we'll keep the URL and everything, so that's not going to be a problem. And then the other 3 things here are just other things that we know we've got to get better at. I'm not going to use time now going through. If you're interested in the 3 rooms pitching, I can certainly send you something in that, explain it in another context, but I just know I don't want to make this too long. So next, we're moving on to how do we stand out. And I think it's worth mentioning that, the products that we stand out for, things like Tightrope Coaching, Resume, Accelerate, they all came out of our parental transition coaching work. And they came out of it because we listened to what clients were saying about where the need was. We listened to the people we were coaching, and we could see that we needed to get to women younger. We could also see that there was an opportunity to coach and a need for coaching when women had come back from work and had been back maybe 5, 6 years, 7 years, and they felt like they were on a tightrope and they felt like they were going to wobble off. And actually we realised that men feel like that as well, so we offer that to men and women. And Resume, as you know, is our title for returning talent, returnship programs, and we've moved with the market on that as well and done very well working with some of the big banks internationally on that. So the other thing we do, which I do probably maybe obsessively, is keep track of our competitors, because, you know, I think it's good to do that, but I also know not to obsess about that too much, because we need to own our space, and the thing that we own is we have the best coaches. So on the right, the actions just show you some of the things that we're going to be doing internally to try and improve all of those, to try and hit all of those objectives. So moving on now to further priorities. Digital is at the centre. There's no question, to be able to future-proof us, we really do need to go from toe in on the digital front to swimming. And the most manifest version of that is really around the hub, the Parental Transition Coaching Hub, where we've had stage 1 out there. We need to now upgrade it. We're investing a lot this year in the hub to make it even more user-friendly. We managed to sell it to 9 clients. God, was it 11 or 9? I think it's 9. We're literally adding one by the week at the moment. And we've managed to sell it to 9 clients last year. So it's a good start, it's a good toe in the water, but now we need to improve it. And as we improve it, it makes us interested in offering an online support to accelerate. And then, who knows, maybe executive coaching, maybe we could look at that in the future. But don't fear, we're never going to replace coaching with online, and neither, I believe, will anyone. I think it works as a blended approach, but I don't think it can work on its own. And that's the Google King thing, is just to talk about how we're already working with Google and King. But we've also now got interest from Funding Circle and Monzo. So we'd really quite like to, and that's the area of the tech sector I'd like to try and focus on even more. I hope I've made the point that the people in executive coaching, the coaches, the support team, that is mission critical. And I know loads of people say that, don't they, and don't mean it, but I mean, we truly, truly do mean that we're not going to be able to succeed unless your coaching is absolutely brilliant. And so we want to do all we can to invest in you. And we're going to have ideas about webinars, more of them for you. I hope you've felt over the last year that we've been doing more of that. The other thing in terms of the actions is, you know, we're getting on a bit, and we recognise that, you know, we need to we've already started. We need to back ourselves up with really good talent and support team underneath us. And so there's now 17 of us, would you believe, in the support team. So that's all in the process of happening too. And then finally, we've got the walking the talk, and that is that this is quite a long one actually, but I'm going to try and be as quick as I can about it, is I really believe that hierarchical organisations don't work. Yeah. So we've got the opportunity to build a properly networked organisation, and to do that, we need to have the kind of learning routines and the learning cycles that allows us to, it's the feedback loop from you guys, so that we're all learning, you're learning from us, we're learning from you, to be able to keep us all heading in the right direction. And the great thing is, I think we all have the same North Star, which, you know, is our purpose. Now, purpose takes me on to talking a little bit about the Good Business Initiative and where that's come from. The Good Business Initiative has come out of the belief that we have that the conversations out there amongst younger leaders in particular are around the fact that maybe the way businesses are run at the moment isn't working. On some level, it's not working. I think the technology sector is exciting and interesting because they could recreate the way businesses run. They could actually do it in a different way. And I also think the technology sector is exciting because many of them are setting up businesses for some kind of social purpose, or at least with a much more purposeful intention than many of the establishment organisations that we work in at the moment. So I think we want to be part of that. So let's just talk a little bit about the technology sector before going into the GBI, the Good Business. It's just this slide, and you can look at it afterwards, but basically it just explains what I've been saying, which is this is a really important area and one we want to be part of. And we've been already going out meeting people from the tech area, and they've got different needs, and it's kind of complicated because many of the startups actually need really basic skills coaching, and to be honest, that's not really where it's at for us. So what we're finding at the moment, and this is all emergent strategy, by the way, what we're finding is that maybe the size of company we're looking for is maybe once they've had a couple of rounds of seed funding, and that they're actually a bit bigger. So like Monzo is a well-known brand now, and they're exactly the kind of right size for us to be able to help, because it's then that they're beginning to ask questions about gender diversity. What we're finding, and purpose generally, what we're finding with the small tech startups, that they're running to stand still, and that the concept of diversity hasn't even crossed their minds yet. So I don't think they're quite ready for us or right for us to influence. So what am I saying about the movement to purpose? Well, I think the quote at the top is an excellent one, which is different businesses are going to define their purpose in different ways. Our way is to talk about the female career. It's about helping the world have more women at the centre of decision making. But it's also about helping leaders to recognise that everything they do is in a context, a political and socio-economic system, and it has to be sustainable what they do. So we can no longer have companies coming in and just doing things that are good for the people at the top. Really, I'm sounding like a rampant socialist. I mean to sound more that I think this is a genuine trend in leadership. It's a genuine direction which everyone's going into. And this slide talks about Friedman's model on the left-hand side, and that's Milton Friedman, which is that capitalist model that I was when I did my MBA. The only economic model we studied was actually Milton Friedman, and I just kind of searched outside and discovered Keynes just to make sure that I was seeing that there's two sides to every story, isn't there? So this is becoming mainstream. I mean, even recently in the Financial Times and The Economist, there's articles about this, about organisations becoming much more performance-driven. You guys are all out there, you're hearing it. I think it's really interesting that Goldman Sachs have built this Just Capital, which is a bit like you've got the FTSE 100, you've got the Fortune 500, and now they're measuring company along these lines of performance when it comes to purpose and sustainability. So I don't think it's greenwash anymore. I think it's a genuine recognition that we need to do something in this space, organisations. Here is for other really, really good reasons for why we should be looking at purpose. I think definitely, I know from personal experience of having attracted the best employees, that when you've got something that you're doing that's over and above just making profit, it just excites people and they want to join you. I think it's definitely attracting and retaining and engaging our customers. I know now customers will bring us in for advice on this area, on the gender diversity area. I think that's really helpful to have something that guides us and makes us stand out. And then look what it does for shareholders as well. So what are the opportunities? Well, we thought about designing service and product around purpose for small technology prospects, as I described, based on perhaps executive coaching assignments with their CEOs, and we've started that already. So we're already accepting. I'm actually I've decided to take on a few more CEO clients so that I can get in about there and really start shaping what might be the product, which is more of a leadership strategy product that we would design around this. And this is the second bullet point here, is that we're not really in at that level with our established clients. You know, I don't coach people on the C-suite in our established clients from an executive coaching point of view. All of our huge clients use us for parental transition coaching. So we've got a bit of an issue with reach. And when you talk about doing something about purpose, you can't separate out the strategic purpose from, well, you can separate it out, but you have to look at both strategic purpose and personal purpose. So the idea is that, as I mentioned before, we'll try and go for these startups that are a bit bigger, that will be able to actually broaden their strategic outlook, build a product, and help our executive coaching as well to make us a bit more strategic in our outlook as well. And so, again, we're thinking about what we could do in terms of coaching you guys in that. So this is the part of the presentation that Michelle actually did to the coaches the other night there, which I'm now going to do. And as you can probably tell, I've not got any notes here at all, so do forgive me. The Good Business Initiative, as I said, this is an expression of what we do. It's not an add-on, it's not a bolt-on, it's not the do-gooder bit that sits over there. It's got to be inextricably linked to what we do. And just to put out there, what is good business? Well, here, I think this is quite a nice way of, it's Goldman Sachs actually from their Just Capital, but it's quite a nice way of expressing what does good business actually mean. And you can probably see that we all are in that workers one for a start. You know, a lot of what we're doing with parental transition coaching is around work-life balance. There's unbiased, you know, there's bias in there as well, unconscious bias that we're working with, flexibility. We're working with all of those things. And actually what we're interested in is maybe broadening our reach a little bit, broadening how we're thinking and what we're doing in an ECC into some of the other ones. So here's the vision and the mission for the Good Business Initiative. So our vision is to expand the community of good businesses by providing current and future leaders with the access to research, knowledge and education that they need to steer their organisations to build a fairer and more sustainable future. And we're going to provide a transformative set of programmes for current and future leaders, building a community of leaders who aspire to operate in today's challenging business environment in the best ways, in helping their organisations contribute to solving social, ethical and environmental issues. Now this is the broad palette that we're going to be working and drawing from, and the main way that we're going to go in and focus in there is through the gender diversity piece, because that's what we've got experience in. So here are three, if you like, product streams that we're looking at. Firstly, I'm going to go to supporting a better impact, because this is a program that we're already talking to a charity called ELBA and a major bank, and we're talking to them about what effectively is a co-mentoring program. And I think it's brilliant, because what it does is it actually matches leaders in large organisations like HSBC, like Morgan Stanley, and it matches them with leaders of third sector organisations. Now, the great thing about that is that they get to walk in each other's shoes. It's co-mentoring rather than reverse mentoring. And what's wonderful about that is a lot of the people that run third sector companies, a lot of them are female, and a lot of minority ethnic are involved as well. So I think it would be brilliant if you could get a leader of somewhere like in Deutsche Bank teamed up with a black female leader of a charity in East London, let's say, and have them share with each other how they see things. Because the whole thing about unconscious bias is the research is showing time and time again the best way to get rid of unconscious bias is getting people to walk a mile in each other's shoes. Now, what better way to do that than this? So we're calling it at the moment Perspectives Programme. And so if you've got any leads, opportunities, companies that you think might be up for something like this, that you'd like to join with us on this, then please do get in touch with myself and Michelle. The other one is what we call the Set to Work, if you like, is the kind of name for, these are programs where we're trying to help people get into the workplace that are not getting in. Now, at the moment, we're already in our third year with Alan and Overy, and some of you have kindly volunteered your time. with the Restart programme, and that's having great success. We had 50% of the people that actually attended that programme last year got jobs. These are people over 50, by the way, got jobs in 3 months' time, within 3 months. I mean, fantastic success, real impact, and it's a pleasure to do that work as well. So we're always looking for volunteers. So again, hold your hand up. Just, please just drop me and Michelle a line. Michelle, it's m.weston@executive-coaching.co.uk. And the set to work, we're looking for a programme, and we're talking to the Young Women's Trust, and we think that might be one where we can help get young females into work as well. And then the first one, which is the one where we're looking at the tech sector, I think you can probably tell when I talk about it, we haven't landed it yet. We're really excited about it, and we've been doing different versions of a programme that we might run, which would obviously involve executive coaching, but it might actually be a leadership programme that we run, which is around the purposeful leader. And we're just trying different things out. We're going around sounding people out, and we're getting really good reactions. But it's complicated, and so we want to make sure we get it right. Again, if you're interested, please just let us know. And if you've got ideas around this as well, when I say interested, I mean actually interested to contribute. So what's our financial and resource plan? Well, initially, I'm going to read this actually. Develop initial programs with potential to have impact on the beneficiaries and create value for the funders or beneficiaries, which is when people self-pay. And we're going to try and establish key partnerships for access to, and by that we're looking for people to help us fund some of this. So at the moment it's a kind of joint thing, and actually we're going to be asking you to volunteer. But ultimately, if I just jump through to part 3, what we're looking at is ultimately we would want to get the coaching paid for, because whilst it might be at a discounted rate, we want to leverage the coach resources, but we don't expect, and we can't possibly scale if we expect all our coaches to volunteer all the time. So at the moment in Allen and Overy, you all kindly have volunteered. I think it's 5 hours of your time, which is terrific. But obviously, if we go out and find all these marvellous programmes, then we're going to run out of that, and you lot would be working for nothing if we continued with that approach. And so the idea is that we start to find funders for the work we do, and it's chicken and egg. You have to be doing the work to find the funders, and that's what we're aiming for September 2020, that we would hope to be, we're aiming for full cost recovery, so that we've actually got sponsors as well, and also people pay to do some of the coaching themselves. And that way we'll be able to reduce our reliance on the pro bono and the discounted provision. So that's it in terms of what I've got to say for today. I hope it was helpful, and if you want any clarity, please by all means drop me emails and I'll just email you back, because I do realise I did do this without a script and I probably should have had a script. So sorry about that, but do drop me an email, ask me any clarifying questions, give me some constructive feedback, give me some ideas. We're really keen to hear from you. Thank you very much. Bye.